for God. You can't do the work for himself. And you cannot borrow the tools from the devil to work for God. I see a lot of things happening in ministry today. If you must do ministry well, you must do your best for God and leave the rest. You don't need to help God. If God has given you the mandate now to pastor 5 members, do everything to pastor it with all your heart and leave the reward for God. Even the people that pull crowd and the people that does not pull crowd, all they are doing the assignment. What matter is your
This the governor empire.
Marty, you made this?
Hello everyone, welcome to the Governor Empire Media. This is a place where we share real life stories and powerful messages that can change lives. I'm your host, Ololeni Progress, and today we have a very special guest with us. He's a man of God who has served faithfully, gone through challenges, and still stands strong in ministry. Please join me to welcome Apostle Kanebi, the servant of God leading the Voice of Calvary River Ministry. Apostle, we are happy to have you with us today. So, Apostle, let's start from the very beginning. A lot of people see where you are now, but they may not know the story behind it. Can you share with us who you are and how your journey into ministry actually began?
Okay, I am Apostle Kanebi Noble Adigwe, the senior pastor of Voice of Calvary Revival Ministries. I am from Ogwashuku, Delta State. My ministry began when I was 6 years old. I was in Apostolic Church, Christ God Apostolic Church, where they gave a prophecy to me, telling my mother I'm going to be an apostle. And from there, different persons were telling me I have the call of God. And with the dreams I used to have, at my little age, I used to tell my father I want to be a reverend father, to be a priest. And that was how it began.
Along the way, you spent years faithfully serving under your mentor. And we all know that kind of experience usually leaves us lasting lessons. So what are some of the important things you learned during this period that still guides you today?
Okay, one of the lessons I learned while I was serving is, number one, to be consistent. Because at the time I was serving, it was not an easy task. While I was serving, there were different challenges in ministry. There were different challenges that came. I was posted to a very remote area where there was no light, where things were not easy, where there were different kinds of attacks. And in all, it made me to be strong and made me who I am. I pastored the church where 6 persons pastored before me, and none of them stayed up to 2 months. When they post them there, they stayed maybe sometime 1 month, 2 months because of the challenges they were on. And the last one that left before me stayed just for 2 weeks. But when I went there, I stayed 6 years, and God blessed me. I was able to buy land and build for God.
Okay, thirdly, talking about your mentors. Many young ministries sometimes underestimate the role of mentorship, and we all know that. From your experience, how important would you say mentorship is, and what ways did you shape your own calling?
Mentorship in ministry is very important. If you want to do well as a minister, you need mentors. Your mentors are people who you learn from, who you follow their path. Even Apostle Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. So as a minister, you need somebody you must look up to. Somebody that must correct you, somebody that must con you, somebody that must chastise you when you are making mistake, and somebody that will encourage you as a minister.
Okay, so after serving, there came a time where you stepped out to start your own ministry, and that can be a very big decision. What really inspired you to take that bold step?
What inspired me, it was a divine assignment God gave to me. Before I started Voice of Calvary Revival Ministry, God gave me a vision of this ministry back then in my secondary school day. There was a certain night God gave me a vision of this church and gave me the name. And that night, I was not having a pen with me. So I saw a nail, and I used a nail to write the name on the wall. And after that, I never knew what it's all about. Then after a time, God started giving me more visions, and God started breaking down the visions for me. And in October 2010, God now gave me a deeper revelation about this ministry, and I wrote them down according to Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 2, and by God's grace today, the vision has come into materialization.
Starting a new branch or ministry is never easy. I believe those first few days came with their own struggles. Can you walk us through some of those challenges you faced when you began?
Starting a branch of a ministry is one of the hardest tasks so far. I do tell people to start a branch is very demanding because it will require your finances, it will require your attention for that branch to grow. You need finances to start a branch. And sometimes there are people who you give an assignment, they may not be able to carry the assignment just as God has assigned you. So doing a branch is a very difficult task. This generation we have so many people who don't want to serve. So it is very difficult to run a branch without you putting your effort. If the branch must succeed, you need to add. You must put your input into that branch must be very high for the branch to stand. So I do advise most pastors, if you don't have the capacity to start a branch, it's better you don't start, because we don't have faith ministry. We only have faith branches. If you are having a branch that is not growing, the best advice I can give to any pastor, close that the branch. If not, the pressure of ministry can kill a pastor. And that's why you've discovered that so many pastors, even at their young age, in their early 30s, 40s, and 50s, they develop high blood pressure because they are trying every possible means to meet up, to make sure that the branch hold. The work is not your work, it is God's work. If you take it as your work, you will put effort, and yet your effort will fail you.
Okay, I remember there was a time when a fire broke out in your church and everything was destroyed. That must be a very heavy moment for you. How did you handle it emotionally and spiritually?
Well, that morning around 1:30 a.m. I was called. That was September 2022. So this is, by this September, it will be 2 years now. When that issue came up, I got the call that morning, 1:30 a.m. When I came to the church, when I saw the fire everywhere, I was not bothered. It was not my personal thing. It was not my work. It was God's work. All I did was to give God praise, because if there was anybody there and somebody died, it would have been an issue on me. But since there was nothing destroyed, it was just the properties, the chairs, the drum, the musical equipment, I give God praise, because it was God that preserved me. It was God that allowed it to happen, because the work belongs to Him. So I was not bothered. I was not worried, because I know He can provide. And after the incident, that made me to be announced the more. That brought more people to me, and that brought more connections to me.
So moving forward, many people, when faced with that kind of setback, would have simply given up. Yes, we all know that. Yet you found the strength to continue. Where did that strength actually come from?
And what gave me the strength to start afresh is because I knew what God has showed to me, what I will be, and what the ministry will be in the nearest future. So with what God has said about me, I know there must be trials. Joseph had a dream, but before that dream came to fulfillment, there was time of trials and temptations. There was a time he was sold. There was a time he was put in the prison. There was a time he was put in the pit. There was a time he was in Potiphar's house and he was accused. But in all, at the end, he ended up becoming a prime minister. So before you must triumph, there must be trials. The trials are to see your triumph and to see your consistency. If there is no pain, there is no gain. So Romans 8:28 said, all things work together for good for they that love God. So I give God praise, because all made me to be what I am today.
So ministry and life don't always go as we plan. And in such seasons, what role does faith play for you personally?
Now, faith is the evidence of things hoped for, but not yet seen. So faith gives you the strength. Faith gives you the enablement. Faith tells you that it is, even when you've not seen it. Faith speaks of the future. Faith speaks of now. So when you have faith, you shouldn't be bothered, because with faith, you can speak to this mountain and the mountain will move to yonder.
And not just for you, but also for your congregation. How do you keep your members motivated and encouraged, especially when times are tough?
One thing that motivates me, that makes me motivate my members is I make them to understand that every great man you see has a story. Everyone you see that has stand has trials, different challenges they have been through. And you must understand that the journey is not easy. Before you get gold, the gold must go through the fire. The fire is what refines the gold to become beautiful as it is. So you must go through the fire. Even when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego went through the fiery furnace of fire, God was with them, and the fire never consumed them. So no matter the challenges of life, the challenges can never swallow you. You don't tell your problem you have. You don't tell your God you have a problem. Rather, you tell your problem you have a big God. So I do tell my members to believe in God, that with time, everything will fall into the right places. When things fall apart, they never fall apart, but rather they fall into the right places.
Through all these experiences, God has surely been teaching you. What would you say has been the biggest lesson He has taught you through all these trials?
One of the biggest lessons that I learned is to serve God and to love God. Because I've been accused, I've gone through all kinds of temptations, I've gone through a lot of things, I've seen terrible things, I've been attacked severally, but in all, God saved me and God brought me out. I've seen life-threatening challenges and God brought me. There was a time I was driving, my car caught fire, but I heard the voice of God that spoke to me, say, come down from this vehicle. I came down and the car exploded and nothing happened to me. There are several things that I've seen. I've seen different kind of attack. God saved me. I've entered into the den of kidnappers. God saved me. I've entered into different attack and God was here for me. So one thing I tell people is just to believe in God, because with God, all things are possible.
So looking ahead, when you think about the next 5 to 10 years to come, where do you see your ministry going? And what picture do you really have in your heart for the future?
In the next 5 to 10 years, I'm seeing my ministry in a great height. I'm seeing my ministry in realms where men will be wondering, say, how come he got to this extent? Because before I started this ministry, God showed me the vision of this ministry, and God showed us invading nations. God showed us taking us to nations. And for him to show me that truly he was God, I have been privileged to travel to 11 nations to preach the gospel. And it came by favor. I never made any expenses. I never put in my money. All efforts were not made by me. And those were just signs of where he was taking me to. God has privileged, helped me. I've been privileged to meet with men, meet with people that matters. So I know my ministry will be going far. But all I just need to do is to be consistent in whatever I do, because the strongest charm so far is consistency.
Okay, so there are many young ministers out there who feel called but are struggling with doubts or challenges. From your own journey, what advice would you give to such people?
What I would tell every young minister, or the advice I can give to every young minister, is to be faithful. God that has called you will make a provision for you. If you must do ministry and succeed in ministry, if you must do ministry and you will not be a castaway, and Jesus will not say, you prophesy in my name, you delivered in my name, and I know you not. If you must not experience those things, you must be a minister without blemish. How can you be a minister without blemish? Doing your best and leaving the rest for God. That is it. You can't work for God. You can't do the work for himself. And you cannot borrow the tools from the devil to work for God. I see a lot of things happening in ministry today. If you must do ministry well, you must do your best for God and leave the rest. You don't need to help God. If God has given you the mandate now to pastor 5 members, do everything to pastor it with all your heart and leave the reward for God. Even the people that pull crowd and the people that does not pull crowd, all they are doing the assignment. What matter is your importance in heaven and your impact on earth. If you are doing ministry and your people does not feel your impact, and people are not touched, people are not blessed, no matter the crowd, you are doing nothing. So what advice I will give to every minister is to be diligent, to be consistent, and to wait upon the Lord.
Of course, we know ministry doesn't stand alone. You also have personal life and family. How do you balance all these demands without losing yourself?
And one thing I tell people, ministry has its time and family has its time and every other thing. But what I tell people is, if you don't have a successful home, you can't have a successful ministry. Marriage is terrible. There are challenges in marriages, and marriage is also a blessing. So if you must balance your ministry, number one, You must do well to balance your home. If you cannot have a good home, if you cannot take care of your home, you can't take care of people. And two, as a minister, what I would tell most pastors who are going to full-time ministry, before you go into full-time ministry, make sure you have something you do first. Make sure you have something generating money for you. A lot of pastors has said so many things, have lied, maybe because of the stomach's sake, because of they want to feed and they want to meet up. One thing you must understand is you must do everything possible to work hard to make ministry work. Ministry demands from you. What you put into ministry is more than what anybody will put, because it is you that understand your vision more than any other person. So when you understand your vision, you must put your life into it. There are sometimes I've sold my car to do ministry. I've sold properties. I've put things into ministry. Like presently, I know how many times I've sold my car to make sure I buy one or two things to make sure the ministry stands. And a lot of people will see the glory, but they never knew the prices we have paid. So as a minister, you need to put your effort. You must put your effort first before people will put for you. If you have not added, if you have not done anything, people are not ready to build for you. So as a minister, I will advise every minister to make sure they look for something to do. Even Apostle Paul weave baskets. Peter was a fisher of men before God called him to become a fisher of fish, before God called him to become a fisher of men. So if you must enjoy ministry and do ministry, ministry demands so much from you. You must put before ministry will start blessing you.
Finally, Pastor, if the world was listening right now, what message would you want to leave with everyone through your ministry?
Okay, one of the messages God has given to us is to preach the message of Christ. So we should preach his message, preach his coming, we preach deliverance. And I will tell everyone that is hearing me, every viewer, that if you must make impact on earth, you must live a life of Christ. Without Christ, you will end the crisis. When you have Christ, you have everything. Even if you don't have a private jet, you don't have a limousine, you don't have a Lamborghini, Ferrari. When you have Christ, you have all you are looking for. And with Christ, everything are made available for you. So what I would tell my viewer is to believe in Christ and to follow him.
Wow, what a wonderful time we just had with Apostle Noble Kanebi. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your story and inspiring us
God
today.
bless you.
And to
Thank
all
you.
our listeners, thank you for staying with us. Please don't forget to like, share, and follow the Governor Empire Media on all our platforms so you can enjoy more of our programs. Also, make sure you follow Apostle Noble Kanebi and the Voice of Calvary Revival Ministry on Facebook and YouTube for more powerful messages. Until we meet again, I am Olowoleni Progress, saying stay blessed and keep the faith alive.
This the Governor Empire.